but it's easy to get caught in.
I thought I turned the recording on at the beginning. I'm sorry.
You did. I think it kicked out when you shared something because I definitely remember.
Oh, it must shut off then. Oh, okay. Good. I learned something new. Yeah, the so what's the key behind commitment then? There's one word that determines whether or not you're committed. It's responsibility. Are you demonstrating your responsibility to attract that which you're creating? When I've decided to begin this new coaching program, I'm starting, by the way, by the end of the year, I'll have it. It's $1 million coaching program. And when I started it, the first thing I looked at were my areas of weakness and responsibility. I have hence gone in and learned how to run Go High Level. I've spent hundreds of hours on this myself, nobody helping me. I've stepped into every area of responsibility where there was a weakness, to the point, Sarah, I just in the last week have created a brand new website for True Life Purpose. I did the whole thing by myself, and that's a massive project. The
I
whole
just did
thing,
mine. It is a massive
the
project.
whole thing was started, completed, and launched in less than a week. And had I gone outside of me to do it, it would have been 6 weeks and three or four or $5,000 to get it done.
Yep.
Right. And I've done a number of other things. I'm stepping into the responsibility, so now I can hire people to assist me with it, and I'm responsible enough to make the choices and have the clarity of the direction I want to go with it. I had been laying back on my podcast. I hadn't done anything with it, quite frankly, for quite a while, for a variety of different reasons, all of which were great. Went in, cleaned the whole thing up. Have now got 25 podcasts scheduled for the future. Did 4 last week. Doing one. I don't think I got any today. I've got one tomorrow, one the next day. I think I've got 3 or 4 lined up already that I'm doing this week, which I love to do. I have so much fun doing them, and it's just being responsible. So, in what areas, Sunshine talked about this, about going down to Miami to the speaking event. She wasn't one of the people picked, but like she's demonstrated, hey, this is where I'm going. This is why I'm going there, because this fits my commitment.
Mhm.
It's powerful, powerful.
I found it helpful to think of that um, attitude about the people that we spend our time with too, not just professionally, but
Yeah.
personally. I was getting really bogged down with family things, and everybody in my family is grieving, right? So um, spending time with people outside my family has been so helpful for my peace of mind, which then
Mhm.
better contributes to the family dynamic. And then it's just, you really
Yeah,
have to put yourself in the right energy.
you're getting sucked into the obligations. You have divine healing as one of your gifts, right? There you go. The hooks in the cheek. Like, you not only do you just kind of it's worse than you just kind of having to be there. Energetically, they know you belong there. And that's why they pass the obligations to you. They don't even know why. But divine healing, again, is an energy that anyone in your presence feels whole and not broken. And I refer to it as a big hamster ball. You're just walking around with this ball of energy. People walk into it and they stop and start sharing intimate information with you because they,
Yeah. And some of them are like, I think of them as like
yeah.
clinging little monkeys, like
Oh,
baby
yeah,
monkeys are always like
exactly.
clinging. That's how I
Well,
feel like some people
well,
are.
listen, that's the way everybody is. You didn't recognize it up till this point, and this is why you really need those boundaries, and you need to step to a higher place and understand that you can't heal them. You're just providing the mirror for them. You're providing a new mirror, and that's why they're so frantic with you, because it's like,
Frantic is the word. Thank you.
hello,
Mm.
this ain't my first rodeo or radio,
Mm.
and and that's what's happening. So you really, these boundaries for you are very critical, and the ability to respond to them from a place of love without taking on any obligation. It's just like, wow, yeah, I get that, but you have the answers inside of you. They're coming quickly. Just don't give them hope. It isn't about hope. It's just telling them energetically the truth. At that point, you're speaking to their soul. You are not speaking to their head. But yeah, divine hit. All of these gifts, are double-edged swords. They're a curse.
Mm.
And your lesson is to learn to step into it. I had this situation. I've been very sad this week. I had somebody that was in another group with me flipped out and just had to go to stories. I was judging him. I was doing this. I was doing that. I was doing the other thing. I was wrong. Um, and the sadness that it brought over me was very intense. Um, and they're off the bus. You don't say that to me. If you're sitting here that long, listening to the fact that one of the things I always say, the number one worst thing you can do is be defensive. Period. End of conversation. Regarding anything, it means you're protecting a story inside you. There's nothing to defend. However, after being here that long, they just can't be in the group anymore. That's it. It's very simple. And that's what happens when I was in this very, very intense spiritual program for, I don't know, a number of years. I'm not even sure how long, 8, I don't even know. But people would leave, they wouldn't come back. And it really bothered me. And I didn't know why. I don't know why I kept coming back, because I sat there 2 years before I finally figured out what feelings were. And that's not an exaggeration. That's literally the truth. I mean, I'd be in there and she'd look at me, the teacher, and go, oh, fuck, she's looking at me. I hope she doesn't ask a question,
Mm.
because I had no idea why I was there. And I have no idea why I kept coming back. Literally no idea why I would do that, but I did. It just took that long. To get past it and then to really have it start clicking for me. I was pretty thick. Can't remember where I was going with that. There was a point I wanted to make.
Sadness.
What's that?
You had said sadness about the fellow leaving.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. So the thing was, why don't people come back? Why do they come? Because the weekend programs were unbelievable, right? They were incredible. Why don't they come back? And then I found out why. And here's the reason. They reached a point where they had a story that they weren't willing to look at.
Mm.
And that was the end of the game for them. The story, typically, it would move more towards parental, because what we have a tendency to do is to, in fact, want to protect our parents. That's when I work with people. It's like, no, it's okay, be pissed off. Like, you got to take care of you. You've got to express how you really feel. It doesn't mean you don't love them. But yeah, the minute you get to a story you're going to protect, boom, suffering, here I come. It's guaranteed. Because when you can step on the other side of the story, Sarah, and you have the courage to put those boundaries and do those things, what happens?
All of this space opened up. My creativity came pouring in. Yesterday, I just came to my desk to do something else, and something came to me for another book that I'm working on. I've been working on for a while. And I just sat here and wrote an entire scene that just came to me that fixed a problem, like a little hole that I've been trying to fill.
Mhm.
So I said, like, oh, the muses are back. But
Yeah.
just having, that space to
No,
be and do is
you made
important.
you made the space to have you. It's all about you. That's it. You're the only one in the world. Take care of yourself. And when you do, everyone else will respond in kind.
I feel like I learned that with this thing with my mom, and I know that she's like on a path now. I know that there's somebody in charge of that stuff that I can just speak to regularly. I know that somebody's looking at her. I can just have one point of contact. Um, and that was just for me saying, Mom, I can't talk to you all day. You can't call me crying all day. You know, yeah.
And you have that right. You're
And I think at first she was doing it with like resentment, like, well, I'll just do it myself. Like, okay, okay,
yeah.
good. You can. I
Yeah.
need to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I think once she
Well,
did, then she felt empowered, right? Like she
uh,
felt a little more confident.
that's right. You were there the day that TJ melted down.
Yes, that's what I was thinking of
Yeah,
when you just
explain
said
what you saw.
something. Man, he was so close. He was
He
so close.
actually, when he melted down, we both saw this. He went to a moment of brilliance
Yes.
and he got so
Yes.
scared, right?
Yes. He was terrified. There's something inside of him that like just he's got this like fiery passion, like this like he wants justice. He wants things to be right and he wants things to be, but he fights against that like spirit in himself and he
He's afraid of his
instead,
power.
yes, he's afraid of his, but if he were like a lobbyist or something, if he
It would
went
be
and worked for
amazing.
some organization like I don't know, like the children's fund or something, he would kill it. He could make so much money for these people, like for these organizations, for these causes that mean
His
a lot
passion,
to him.
it was so pure, that piece that came,
It
because
was.
I noticed the energy and you totally got
He
it
was gonna, he was so close. He could have made the turn right then,
right then.
like in that moment. And he just, instead, he got really angry with Bill for saying that something was morally neutral. Like just so angry about even the concept of moral neutrality instead of seeing the beauty in his own convictions and his own values and his own passion.
Yeah, I mean, just and railed into me, it's like, well,
Yeah,
obviously when you speak that way, you shouldn't be here.
no,
I don't want you in a position listening to somebody you don't trust and believe in. That's not
no,
fair for you.
he went like,
He was not, it went
it
nuts.
was strange. I think if you had all seen it and you'd spent
It was
so
off the
much time
rails.
with him, I mean,
Yeah.
it was like a year that we were in this course together. And like,
Yeah. He
I
got
just
that close to his brilliance, and
so surprised.
we both saw it. It was what we saw was it was past divine at what we saw in him at when he hit that moment of the what I call brilliance. It was unbelievable. It was just
Right.
unbelievable.
Right. That was like a martyr burning at a like stake. Like he was so passionate, but then instead of advocating and taking that to a big beautiful place, he instead just attacked Bill. Like he just it was it was so clear.
Yeah.
It was so clear. Yeah.
He told his stories. And you all do that every day we do it at our own level. We all do it.
Yep.
That's it is part of the physical experience. And it's the thing that allows you to step outside your comfort zone and have an experience when you're open-minded, like Sunshine did going to Miami. It's like, I don't know, I'm getting on a plane and going, whatever it is, it's going to work. It's going to be good. I'm going to learn more. And she went with a very strong intention, and fulfilled it to her capacity during that time. And it makes life exciting, doesn't it, Sunshine?
Oh, it does. It does. I mean, everything was intentional from the moment that, I decided, I committed to that I was going to do this. The plane, the Uber driver. I mean, I was sharing my talk with the Uber driver, so she's just like, "So when is this going to air? Can I see this? Where can I download this?"
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You
You
gotta
know
be
what's
in the
really
room
cool
where it
about that?
happens, right?
Right. And we all went around the room. All the people were in the same room together, and we all went around the room introducing ourselves. And I said, "Well, I wasn't on the top 25 list yet." I said,
Yeah.
"But my intention is to support you." And I said, "And to get on stage." So I announced it to everyone. So it
Yeah.
was no
Mhm.
secret what my intention was
Yeah.
there.
One of the things that I just makes me so inspired, happy, hearing about all that is that I'm having this visual in my head of every person that you did, I'm gonna cry, that you did share that story with, and the people that you said that to, the impact of that on that person, right? And the drop and the ripples that goes out
Yes.
is probably well beyond whatever it is the people sitting in the audience with Grant Cardone got. And that's not to diss the positive
Oh,
impact
I
that
know.
he has. Like that's amazing.
Absolutely.
But that's one of the things that I particularly admire about you, Diana, right? Is that and that I feel in you when you get on. It's just like,
You feeling
and
who?
also when you laughed and said, maybe I'm gonna beat myself up a little bit, but it was laughing at it, seeing the light,
Oh, sure.
like because I mean it's such a beautiful embodiment. So to witness it, thank you. Thank you.
Holly.
Hey, where can I see
Wow.
this?
Holly,
Thank you. You can't.
Oh,
you're not seeing that, Holly, in Sunshine.
You're singing yourself.
Oh, damn, I look good.
You do.
Yeah. There you go.
Look amazing.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah.
Holly's windshield is a mirror.
Yes.
You can only see yourself, Holly.
Mm. Wow.
You can't recognize that which you aren't.
Mm. Mm. Wow. Thank you for being a phenomenal reflection, my dear.
Yeah.
And
My
everybody.
pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
well, you meant when she gets on the call. I thought that you were like reviewing her speech. I was like, I want to go see it right now. I was like, where's her talk?
Mm.
It will be out there, actually.
We'll be
Yeah.
out there.
I actually do. I already have a post ready to go that had my 60 seconds, as well as other ones, because I actually had changed my talk for the event because it suited the audience. Because, I'm speaking to the people specifically. It still was me because it was still my talk. It was what I originally came up with.
Mhm.
And I want everybody to notice something, okay? There's a tremendous, tremendous example being set here right now. And that's this. Sunshine is sharing all of these things, but she does taxes for a living.
That's one of the things that I do, yes.
And look at where she's at in expansion. How many clients are you going to see this year?
396.
There you go. She's got 60 days left, but she hasn't mentioned a word about taxes, about clients, about appointments. Oh, I've got this to do and this, and it's tax season, which is what most people that prepare taxes would be doing. So, how is it that you're holding yourselves back and not creating the same freedom in your life? Very powerful. Happening in front of your very eyes. And you've been here. There hasn't been a word. She hasn't mentioned a word about taxes. Anything's possible. What'd you think of that, Sarah?
Anything's possible.
Yeah. Just got to be open-minded to it. Allow it.
Bill, if you saw how much I did with the AI, like I have a book proposal basically ready. Like I have to format it so it looks nice and according to industry standards, but it's ready to go.
Mhm. Yeah.
I have the list of agents, what they want in the packages. It like took no time on AI. I just needed the mental clarity and space to spend with my goals and my time,
Mhm.
my
Yeah.
purpose.
That's because you started taking care of yourself. You started speaking up for Sarah. Fuck everybody else. Just take care of you. Everybody else is going to be fine. And guess what? All that stuff is going to happen. And you'll always do and accomplish more than you could have ever imagined, even with all the boundaries in place. When you look back, you'll go, wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
I always say going to the gym expands my day by 3 hours, even if I spent 4 there. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it just,
You're feeding you.
yeah.
You're energizing you. And you just let these things happen. Caden's dad, who's worked with me for a long time, he put the he he had done some real estate deals previous to working with me that got quite complicated. And um I helped him, so we sorted them all out. We got them all taken care of. All in a very positive way. And in the
And to Bill's credit, because I also lived this, by the way, they were in rough shape. Like Bill did absolutely help Jeff through this whole process with this whole thing.
and and then from that, he turns around and never said anything to me and goes and buys a home in Tennessee with owner financing. He's always wanted to live down there. He's been saying he was going to do it. He just put it together. And he said to me, he said, "Damn, like I just can't wrap my head around how easy that was." And I said, "Just every week show up and tell me that that's what happened in your life, because now I'll know you're out of the way. If your head's in it, your heart's not. It just happened." And now he's putting together another, just this huge business deal. Huge.
Mhm.
So big. So big. Conversation last Friday when we met was around private jets and a promotion they're going to do. Okay. I mean, going to just way, way, way to a different level. And it's just happening. It's just happening. And it's because he's getting out of the way. He's just letting it happen. He's creating it. He's creating it. The energy's drawing in the people. And like I tell him, the deal he's putting together, I'm like, you created it. You're the one running the whole thing, but you're running it with energy. That's why it's going so smooth. And it involves people from all around the country. And, I know Caden knows about it, but it's,
Mhm.
it's still going to take a little while to get it put together, but it's really, it's just amazing. And that's what we can do. It's just, God, it's just so exciting. So, David, have you pondered that question I asked you at the beginning? You're muted.
Yes, and I think the primary energy I'm bringing is fatigue.
Good. That's fear-based, obviously.
Yeah.
Bring love to it. Watch what happens.
Mm.
It'll all change. We're both of the same, in the same place pertaining to surrender and having no control, right?
Mm.
So with that, there's only one of two things you can do on the backside of it, right? You know, like somebody said, you know, if you turn it over to God and you hang on, it'll be upside down.
Mm. Mm.
Surrender with love and know that you can sit here right now in your energy. You can just go tap in and change your mother's energy from yours. There's no separation. There's no such thing as separation. That's a physical illusion. Energy is energy. And everybody knows it. That's your secret weapon, David.
Hmm.
They know it. They just, you know, they're like Emma Bailey that you heard in the podcast at the beginning, you know. Yeah, it's outside of my stratosphere.
Mm.
I'm more concerned about where I'm going to buy my tomatoes this weekend or whatever. Comments, questions. God damn, where does the time go?
You something from this call just prompted this. I was reading this morning, and it wasn't a self-help book, it wasn't a spiritual book, it wasn't any of that. I was reading a book on the birthing process because that's where my head is at right now, and as it should be. And the lady who wrote the book, her name's Emily Oster. She's actually an economist, but she wrote a book about this whole birthing process because she was just so frustrated by like how much stuff is just kind of floated out there, but there's not any data about it. Like what are the numbers, what are the stats. So her perspective is just really funny because she's very irreverent but very direct. But she was saying one of the things that surprised her the most in the birthing process was that she hired a doula. And when she was in the labor process, she was on this labor ball and she's like, I'm comfortable, I'm feeling good. Doula's like, great, get up and do something else. She's like, what? She's like, you're not going to make any progress if you're comfortable. Like you cannot stay comfortable. You can get on your side, you can stretch, you can have your husband give you a massage, doesn't matter, but you cannot stay on the birthing ball. Nothing's going to happen. And that just, this whole conversation, we think about that, like how many of us are just sitting on the birthing ball because we're like, oh, this is great. This is good right here, right? Like, I don't want to go any further. I know what happens next and it's scary, right? But it's also beautiful. And we don't know what that is yet.
And that's where, as you heard Emma Bailey say at the beginning of that, the people getting to death safely sit.
Yeah, exactly.
They aren't living. They aren't living. Like Sarah just came to life last week. She's changed forever now.
Bill, I sent you an email this week. I don't know if you received it. Did anybody watch the Grammys? No, none of you watched the Grammys. Has anybody heard of Doechii? No.
I didn't get a chance to
Okay.
listen to it because I was so busy in my projects. It's there.
Okay, well, Doechii got Best Rap Album of the Year. And there is a viral video going around. It's Doechii, Doechii. And there's a viral video, and it's from, I think, her TikTok from 5 years ago, the day she got fired. And she just said, I got fired today, but no big deal. I'm gonna go to some of these record companies, see if any of them are hiring interns or whatever. That was 5 years ago. And I think I forget which links I sent you, Bill, but that will remind me of the other point. Oh, she's got a song called God. That is really just kind of like a spoken word thing and less hip hop. Dun, dun, dun. I will, if you are interested, I'm going to put these both in the
Yeah, put them in the chat.
chat and then I can stop yapping and you can check it out on your own time if you're interested.
To speak to, the universe is always looking out for you, because she would be at whatever that awful job was if she hadn't gotten fired, you know.
Then the day after the Grammys, she released a track and she was like, I won. And the message is basically like, what would Doechii do if she didn't win? We'll never know. Like, here's your song. I knew I was going to win. I already wrote the song and now it's out because I won, because I knew I was going to win. So I made the song for me winning to celebrate in advance.
You know, that's so great because I heard somebody a while ago, and this was such a great answer, talking about athletes, especially football players, who during the week in practice rehearse the moves they're going to make when they score a touchdown,
Mhm.
right? Which, you know, they do all these different dances and all the different things they do. But what they're doing is manifesting the fact they're going to be in the end zone. They're living it.
One of my favorite quotes of all time is from Kanye West. I know there's a lot of stuff there, but one of my favorite things from him is he went up to accept a Grammy win, and he opened his speech. He said, "A lot of people asked me what I was going to do if I did not win this award tonight. I guess we'll never know." And he walked off the stage, and that was like, oh, you can just like, oh, you got to look that up. It's like his
She quotes
fire
it in
and
that song.
yeah,
She
yeah.
quotes it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, freaking just like, oh, I just right, not your brain, just right your heart. You're like, dude, that kind of like just boom, focus, vision right there, commitment, and just no, I'm
Yeah.
gonna win, you know.
I know
Yeah.
the feeling.
I bet you do.
So David,
I didn't practice not winning.
how are you? How are you doing now? How are you feeling? What's your perception of everything?
Um, you know, I still feel predominantly fatigued, but with a growing sense of optimism.
Yeah, just bring love to it. Yeah, the fatigue is attachment. So, and it's the attachment to futility.
Mm.
And in the physical, uh, futility is everyone's partner. In the non-physical, it's love. And you can communicate very well with your mother with energy. Very well. She can feel the love. Her soul is not gone. Her mind is. So your thoughts, words, and actions, whatever they are just fueled by love, by being with her. You know, I was with my dad the weekend before he died. Um, I was caretaking him that weekend, and he could never say he loved me. He couldn't do it. He'd say God bless. He was such a good Catholic. He was so committed to it. And for that, I have phenomenal respect. That was my lesson that I learned from him. But as I was there, he could still kind of get around. But as I was there, he could feel my love in my actions. They didn't have to be spoken. They didn't have to be spoken.
I could feel that my dad felt my love and I could
Mm.
feel his.
Yeah.
He couldn't, talk at the end, obviously. But, the water I gave him, the look in his eye, the way I rubbed his feet and he responded like, it's okay. Like
Yeah.
it was nice to feel his comfort.
My children's mother, we were married 21 years before we got divorced. Then that was back in my insanity. Um, And she firmly held the premise that I created all the misery in her life, including her cancer, which killed her when she was 48. And prior to her transitioning, one Saturday morning, I was in San Diego. My daughter called, and my wife was up in Lake Tahoe. My daughter called and said, "Mom would like to meet with you." And she's too afraid to call you herself. I said, "Okay, tell her I'm getting on a plane." And my daughter said, "When?" I said, "I'm going to the airport when I hang up," which is what I did. And her parents were there and her current husband. And, they all vacated before I got there. It was just, this was the showdown at the OK Corral. Like they were just not, like they couldn't be there. And I went in and Sue and I sat there and we looked at pictures where her anger was so strong, I had been ripped out of them, literally, right? And we sat and connected for 3 hours. And because I was able to be with her energetically where she was at, which was transitioning in and out of the physical world at that point, but we just had just a really nice conversation. And then her parents came back, her husband, both of my kids, and I quietly exited, thanked everybody, and of course they were all like, I was the asshole, period, end of conversation. Um, and I went out and got in the car. I was just getting in the car and I thought I heard my name. And I looked up on the porch and she was standing there waving goodbye to me. And it was that a piece of unconditional love that put me into tears for a couple of hours. The love was so strong. Everything had been erased. It was the most impactful moment of my life. It blew my mind. And prior to that, she fucking hated me. I mean, it was very clear, her and all her friends, that I created every bit of it, which was pretty incredible. If I could, poof, you have cancer. Okay. Merlin, I mean, just that's the insanity of it. But got to be there and and really see unconditional love. So powerful. It was amazing. Just transcended everything. The first time in our entire relationship, at that point, 30 years or whatever, um, that either of us touched love. And that's all everybody wants. You'll understand it more next week or the next couple of weeks, Caden, believe me. When you see the baby, you'll shake your head. And that's what it's about. And you can take care of yourself and share that love and help everybody. But most importantly, yourself, because you're the one that has the consciousness and the commitment to truly make a difference in the world. But it's like Emma said in that thing, it's like who you're being, that's all that matters. Nothing else matters. Okay, let's kind of move towards wrap up here. Who wants to go? Isn't it great to just be able to sit down and have a real conversation? Really special.
Mhm.
By the way, well, I'll say this after. Who'd like to go first?
Well, the things that stood out to me are without commitment, there's hesitancy
Mhm.
and
And confusion. Add confusion to
and
that.
confusion.
Yeah.
Oh, and for sure, right?
If there's
Well, it's because you
confusion,
don't have the
if there's
clarity, right?
confusion, there's no commitment. Yeah.
Right. Um, and and the one thing that I have noticed or become aware of for myself is that before I can see where I was not committed, I didn't have the clarity or the courage to
Mhm.
move into where I needed to be. And now I look and I see only opportunities and possibilities.
Mhm.
And it's not that I still don't get butterflies in my stomach or I get nervous or I have a little
Sure.
voice that goes, oh, who do you think you are? But I'm able to navigate through that and still continue to
Mhm.
be committed and move forward.
Yeah, it's just natural. That's part of the just part of the physical experience.
Mhm.
A very important part. It's the texture.
Yes, the texture.
Yeah.
So sometimes I could use with a little less texture, but okay.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't be
No, not
happy. You
really.
know it as
Not
well as I
really.
do. Yeah.
No, not really. I mean, I
Yeah.
say that in the
Yeah. You
moment, but
want
when I
more.
look back, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. David.
Well, I'm grateful to you all for uh, for knocking me out at least a little bit so far out of my fatigue.
Yeah, release it. It doesn't serve you.
Hmm.
You're powerful and it's don't David, I think what's happening with you is there's confusion with you between the emotions you're having.
Hmm.
You can still have your sadness, yet stay in love and not have the fatigue. The fatigue is indicating attachment. And there's something just beautiful in the this process that your mother is going through. So just observe God's handiwork in action and bring love to it because she can feel that. She can feel that as she can your fear. But there's nothing to fear because whatever's going to how she's going to transition is how she's going to transition.
Hmm.
You're just you're an observer,
Hmm.
and I know your tendency in the past has been to live through the projections and such from your brother and we've had discussions about that you've done very well in releasing and you want to really just do the same thing here. You're not abandoning her. You're actually, when you do that, you're creating more of you that's available to be with her.
Hmm.
And when you think of her, when you're with her, just remember that after she transitions, you're going to wish you could let her know or could have you would have let her known how much you love her while she was in physical form. This is your opportunity. And
Hmm.
that does not come from fear. You let her blast the unconditional love on her, your gratitude, and rise above. Everyone starts in infancy and reverts back to infancy.
Mhm.
Everything comes from nothing and goes to nothing. Such is the nature of the universal laws. And so, for me, the most important thing was when I got to spend that time with my dad. Even though words weren't spoken. in that nature. But the energy was there. In fact, so much so, I don't know if I've shared this in this group, so much so that that was a Labor Day weekend and it was Sunday, and my sister had been in Florida with my mother selling off their property down there, and they were returning that night. And so I left and flew back to San Diego, which is where I was living at the time, and literally got to San Diego. And the next morning, my sister called me and said, "We're bringing hospice in. So do you want to come back?" I went right back to the airport and flew right back to Vermont again. And he finally transitioned Saturday, Sunday morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, with all of us with him. But in that week, I set the energy in the house, and the only ones in the house were the siblings and my parents. That was it. There were no spouses around, which was fantastic. And it was really something. And I set the whole energy for the week, so much so that the following week, one of the hospice people came in and said, I've been doing this 25 years and I've never been in an environment like that. I don't know how this happened, but what you did was amazing. Most people are doing fingernail inspections and, just they don't want to face it. They don't want to deal with it. And we just came together in unconditional love and supported the transition of my father, which I thankfully knew what to do in a way that kind of subtly just sucked everybody else in. And everybody, it was just a beautiful week. Beautiful, even to the point where, when he passed away and the funeral home came, we carried him out to the hearse. I mean, my sister helped dress him. She dressed him in a sweater and shirt like he would like to wear. It's the way he'd want to make his exit. And, and we literally carried him out in the hearse, and then we literally shoveled the dirt on the casket. We took a very active part in that piece of life, as we did with my mother. And it was fantastic. Like after my mother transitioned, my two brothers were there, and they just left. My sister and I just looked at each other and was like, "Oh, thank God they left." And we sat with the Buddhist tradition of, we meditated for the next 2 hours to assist, to make certain her soul had left the building. And it was just, another beautiful moment that my sister and I spent together. We ain't escaping it. Get used to it. That's the fear. That's why people have fear. It's all based fear of loss, and it's fear of loss based on the fact you're going to die. You don't want to die, and that's what creates all the fear. It's fear of loss. Fear of loss of houses, fear of loss of friends, fear of loss of, blah, 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 blah. That is what we call living in the physical. It's the best it gets. Hayden.
Yeah.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Well, your commitment as alignment that we talked about brought to mind. I won't go into the whole. I'll give you the very, very abbreviated version. But last weekend, I had made a commitment that I was putting a dishwasher in our kitchen, and my wife kept telling all of our friends that I was going to attempt to put a dishwasher in our kitchen, but I kept correcting her and telling her that I was putting a dishwasher in our kitchen. And so, suffice to say, there is a dishwasher in our kitchen. The one I installed had issues, so much so that I had to pay to get it removed and have a new one delivered that is running swimmingly. But it was really funny because my wife was saying, "Isn't it a shame we had to pay that $50 to haul the old one away?" And I said, that's the best $50 I ever spent. Because if I hadn't had a dishwasher to put in that cabinet, I know very well that I would not have done it. That $50, even though the dishwasher was totally useless to us in a literal sense, was the most useful thing to be able to go this, go in there, measured it out, did it, and then had to replace it. But that whole commitment as alignment piece is just so cool. I was never attempting to put a dishwasher in. I was very clear that a dishwasher was going in our kitchen. That was the intention, not to try.
And that's just stepping up to the responsibility.
Yeah.
That's all it is. When I had a home in Las Vegas that I remodeled the interior myself, and I was at Home Depot one morning coming out. It was very early in the morning. I was walking out of there with something I had, and this woman who was every bit older than me, close to 80, I would guess, pushing a cart with all these plumbing supplies on it, right?
Yeah.
And I looked at her in such a way that it ignited a response from her. She just looked at me and she said, "Honey, with YouTube, I can do anything."
And it was, yeah,
it was
was,
I said, right on. That was what a great answer that was.
yeah, no,
She
it
knew
was
I was
my,
going like, what is that woman doing with all that piping, all the
yeah.
elbow joints and everything else?
hmm
She put me in my place pretty quick. It was cool. Holly.
I think it's the most notes I've ever taken. But Diana, thank you for sharing, because what I'm looking at right now says, look at where I'm not committed, and then either release it or adjust it and act and allow. So,
Wow.
Very good.
And what a great option, releasing.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the way people would go normally. Like, they wouldn't have permission to make that choice. They would take on the obligation that they would have to do it because they were being judged and measured by others. Right.
Yeah.
So I love that piece, the freedom to release. That's powerful. Well, Sarah, welcome back to Earth, honey.
Thanks.
What did you learn today?
This was the really big takeaway. It's difficult to wrap my brain around. That's how you know you're on the right path.
Uh-huh.
So it's supposed to be that easy.
No, it is.
So
It is.
that's
It's much
you're on the right
harder.
path when it feels easy.
It's so much harder not living in your purpose. So much harder. There's stories with it, there's logic, there's struggle, there's resistance.
I just think it's funny that I plugged in this thing as an experiment and then was like, oh wait, maybe this actually seems marketable. I would look at this book as an agent. So why not? Wrote the query letters for me. I just jazzed them up a little.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing, it, I'm sure that Sunshine has thought about this before, but I wrote down, think of sunshine during tax season, and it sounded like an ad to me. There's some sort of marketing there for you if you ever need it. I'm sure
Thank you.
you've thought of it.
Yeah.
Because nobody else thinks of sunshine during tax season, but now I always will.
Good.
Yeah, it's a choice.
Well, it's cool having worked with a lot of different accountants in my line of work. The number of people I can think of who have a similar outlook to life around tax season is approximately one, and she's right there. I mean, they're all just like the whole time,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
freaking out.
You know why? That's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to be. Yeah. That's pretty profound when I mentioned it, huh?
Yeah.
You all witnessed it. I'm not surprised. So I had communicated with David and Holly. They were so nice to send me a testimonial. And if any of you else would like to, what I'm looking for is a testimonial on your phone that is no longer than 30 seconds. And it goes
Like a
like this.
video?
Yeah, a video. And it, in fact, I'll play like Holly's for you here. Let me get it.
Do you want it oriented vertically?
Yes. Yes. For shorts. Yeah. For video shorts. Well, let me, well, here's, no, that's not it. YouTube. Oh, here they are. Okay. So here's, this is Dustin Matthews, a client of mine. And this is a script.
Hey there, my name is Dustin Matthews, and I've been working with Bill for over 5 years now. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to do me a favor. Pay close attention to what Bill is going to share with you, because if you pay attention, it will drastically improve your life.
That's it. So if you want to, you can just shoot one and send it to me. It's up to you. And with that, I've got to sign off. Oh my gosh, I've got 5 minutes for a bio break and into another session. This has been another great one. And Caden, let us know, baby, when it happens, okay?
Yes.
Oh yeah. I will keep you in the loop. If I'm not here next Monday, you'll know where I am.
And I was thrilled to hear you were naming her after me. It would really.
Oh, I thought it was Dochi. Is it Bill Dochi? I think that's what it is.
Philomena.
I can blame Bill.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it could be Wilma.
Yeah.
Philomena. Billa instead of Bella. There you go.
Yeah.
Bill,
Yeah.
Your wife will be glad that we're naming
And
you.
her middle name is Yanair.
billionaire.
Billionaire. I love that. Do it.
All right. I love you all. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.